Hello, my lovely podcast listeners. This is your host, Rafał Matuszewski, and we're about to go on a freaking ride today, you guys. Really randomly, I was chatting with my wife last night about how my podcast intros have evolved, and she was able to go word for word, like what my intros used to be over a year ago. And I'm like, man, even a year ago I felt super awkward with my intros. So hopefully they've been getting better. So reach out and give me some feedback of what you guys want to see or hear for intros. But today what we're going to go after, we have been talking about a lot of like tangible things you can do for weight loss. And we've talked about adequate protein, adequate vegetable intake, sleep, also looking at getting a thorough assessment to see if your body's ready for exercise. And today we're going to kind of veer off of it a little bit, but I feel like it's very timely because we are coming up, at least for me, a year since the closure of my gym and clinic that I work at. And, I was kind of reflecting on that, and I think it's going to hit home harder for me when the specific post goes out. But I was just thinking to myself that, many of us this year have dealt with some definite bullshit and probably got to a point where more bullshit came into your life, and then some more came into your life, and then when you thought that it was over with, even more fell into your lap, and you're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with all this bullshit? That being said, when shit like that happens, and I would say during a pandemic, it kind of gets magnified by at least 10 or, I don't know, fucking 50 times, making it worse. Our mental health definitely takes a toll. And when our mental health is not there, there is like absolutely zero chance of you achieving any kind of physical health. Right? Kind of look at achieving any kind of peak performance, any kind of weight loss goal, strength goal, whatever you think. If your mental health is not in check, there's no chance in hell that you're going to see any success in the avenue of physical health. And, if you really think about it, like, on those days, because I would even consider days where you feel just blah and you don't have any energy and you just want to stay in bed all day. Like, that's your mental health, like, popping its hand up like, hey, you should fucking figure your shit out and not just stuff all your feelings down and never have them resurface. You know what I mean? That being said, even small little things like that just throw off your whole day, there's no motivation to go to the gym. There's no motivation to eat clean. Like, come on, right? Your mental health has a lot of control over what you do and can leave you crippled, alone, and just, in one of those positions of why you're asking yourself, why do I feel like this? Why can't I get out of bed? Why do I not see any kind of purpose in life anymore? Why can't I just fucking live my life like I used to? Right? There's no thought process that goes through like, oh shit, I need to get my workout in today, I need to do this, no. So, this episode is going to be dedicated on reflecting on how your mental health is right now. If you're like me, you've probably gone through a couple, breakdowns, but that's okay. No one was prepared for what happened in this entire world. And we're starting to see some sort of light at the end of the tunnel here, but it's small. The only thing that's so weird, the only thing that's been really keeping me going, and it's like literally a string of hope, like a thread of hope that's making me like, okay, I can fucking do this. I can fucking do this. I can keep going. I can keep going. Is the fact that I've been, ever since my Disneyland trip back in November of 2019, I have been like planning my next trip to a point where when we shut down for the first time almost a year ago today, I literally bought tickets to fly out to Disneyland, knowing that there was a risk that, this pandemic could get worse, but I was like, oh, I'll go a year from now. So like November of 2020, which didn't happen obviously, because Disneyland's been closed this whole fucking time. I was like, oh, after a year of this pandemic shit, like that should be enough time. But obviously it wasn't. And I've been literally reading every little piece of literature on the reopening plans on Disneyland. And anytime there's some sort of good news, that's the one thing that pulls me back in, or I feel like, okay, I can get through this shit. And honestly, I don't know how, this is going to segue into your fitness and health, but that was literally the one thing that was kind of holding me on. And it's not so much like Disneyland itself, but it's also spending time with my wife and being in an environment where, you're highly, what's the word am I looking for? Highly amused? No, that's not it. But you know what I mean. Like, you just have a lot going on. And you're surrounded by a lot of happy people. Maybe some kids crying, but that's okay. But the whole environment just kind of elevates your mood, right? And that's literally the only thing that's been kind of keeping me going. And even this morning, when I woke up, I was like, I gotta check the updates on my Disneyland, and they just announced that one of the Disneyland hotels are going to be reopening for spring. I'm like, fuck, this is a good sign. This is a very good sign. And I really, 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 really hope, and I'm super optimistic that I'll be able to fly down and go to Disneyland for this November. That's 8 months from now. I really hope the world turns around by that time to allow me to go back to Disney. So that being said, my example, find one thing that's going to pull you back. I feel like we're all kind of floating in this like purgatory of a life, waiting for things to go back to normal, but it's not happening anytime soon. Like, it's not going to, like, a week from now all the numbers are going to go down for COVID. Like, it's going to take some time. So find that one thing that's going to pull you out of this purgatory and hold on to that, because that's going to keep you sane. And little things like that go a long way. Like, for me, like, that's literally the only thing that's keeping me going, along with obviously like my dog and my wife and things like that, but like something from the external world that makes you feel normal, right? Like, I had a situation where my wife and I are like, oh, I really miss going to movie theaters and like getting popcorn. And out where I am, you can buy popcorn from the theater with like Uber Eats or Skip the Dishes, whatever it is. So we decided to do that one time, and we had to go pick it up. We literally went into the theater. It's like one dude working there, and it was the saddest thing I've ever seen or experienced. Like, going into an empty movie theater, there's no music in the background, there's no like nothing. And I'm like, fuck, this was a wrong choice to do. Like, I don't even want to see that. Like, it just made me feel worse, right? So it's like those small things. Like, if, movie theaters was your thing, like, hold on to that. Like, remember those moments to kind of keep you sane. And, small things like that can go a long way. But, in my experience, the best thing to do is literally get some help, right? Like, people have this weird stigma against mental health, but like, fuck, come on. It's 2021. You need to get your shit together. Like, go reach out for help. Counselors, psychologists, they're all there. Your fucking coach. Like, you'd be surprised how many of my clients have been chatting with me about really, really personal things and how hard it's been with this freaking pandemic with their lives. And, I do my best to, like, be empathetic, but I'm like, I am not well equipped enough to help this individual in front of me pouring their heart and soul out because they just can't deal with life right now. Like, it's a lot to take on, but there are trained professionals out there that can help. And I've had a handful of psychologists or people in the psychology field on my podcast, and they're all brilliant people. Sometimes it's just speaking out your truth, having it out there, and then someone connecting like two dots for you to give you some sort of closure or make you feel like you can like continue on. So I'm going to leave it there. I think that was short and sweet, to the point, and will shed some light on what the hell is going on today. Again, mental health is the gateway to every physical health goal you have. And I've seen it in the clinic a lot of times where people are dealing with injury, like aggressive injuries, and their mental health is not there, and they're doing all the right things of rehab, exercise, treatment, you name it, but there's just something blocking them, and it's usually that mental health piece. So don't forget to check on your mental health. That's it for me. Hit the show notes. Add me on Facebook. Add me on Instagram. Give me a 5-star review. You guys are amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Until next time.